Hi, my name is Day9, and it's time to be a better gamer, baby. We're gonna do something a little old school today. We're gonna watch a ladder game from our hero Jaedong down in the bottom right-hand corner versus some barcode Protoss. Hi everyone, hi YouTube, hi Twitch, hello. So many of you know that I got my career started doing like high-level Starcraft replay analysis. And often I would prepare like crazy for those shows, right? I would be like taking notes and rewatching it again and again and again and figuring it out long in advance so that way I could provide the most accurate representation of information I could. We're not doing that today, man. We're just gonna hang out and watch some Brood War together and just cheer for Jaedong. Let me go ahead and look at the map. What are the hotkeys in this? Open diplomacy. There we go. This is Radion. I can actually scroll back, which is crazy. This makes it so much easier to do some of this analysis. Oh my god, look at this. This is beautiful. Oh, Flam, thanks for the 5 gifted subs. Borg Leader, thanks for the 10 gifted subs. Mamma mia. So, Radion, well, for those of you that don't know, I still watch a lot of Brood War content, a lot of Brood War stuffs. All of you should be watching ASL 17. It is currently ongoing. You can go to the Africa Esports channel and find Tasteless and Artosis casting them away. But it's 4-player map, which is, I personally always loved 4-player maps in Zerg vs. Protoss because I felt more comfortable just going hatchery first, which kind of fell out of style for a long time, just going for this hatch first kind of play. There was so much aggression, and there's frankly a lot of 2-player maps and 4-player maps that had close distances, where there was zealot pressure, so it always felt like you had to overpool and do stuff like this. But from a Zerg point of view, I like the 4-player maps because you have an easier time just being able to throw this down straightforwardly. But I'm going to ignore their openings for a little bit. Because this third base, I think it's kind of fake to say that it's easily defendable. Like, yes, all 3 of these locations, typically Zerg will always be able to get 3 bases, but like, this can be a really uncomfortable angle to defend if you're in vertical positions, because it's like short bridge, spot here, short bridge, and then right away, here's the Zerg expansion. So if you're a Protoss player, as long as you can get past this funnel, this is just such a defendable attack path for Protoss, as in like it's easy to reinforce and so on and so forth. But I think that kind of like modern Zerg players, I don't know, man. I watch them a lot going for like 6 hatch every single damn game, no matter what. This expansion feels really nice if you're going for some sort of like crazy 6 hatch opening and whatnot. But yeah, dude, there's this sort of stuff of the gateways doing this like 1-gate zealot opening stuff. Dude, when I played back in my day, players were just starting to do this stuff where they would go 1 gate, expand. Let me get this to the correct speed. There we go. Now we're on fastest. Come on, computer. Come on. There we go. Plus and minus changes replay speeds in other games. U and D speeds it up and slows it down in this game. What a nightmare. All right, so let me actually just open diplomacy, unreveal the entire map. But yeah, this like fast gateway style to pressure where you then take a nexus behind has gotten really, really, really popular. And I'm actually curious, is there... Jaedong, he just expanded over here. Oh, this is an interesting place to take right away. I sort of get this. Who's the Protoss bums? I have no idea, dude. I have no clue. There's this amazing website called cwal.gg that just records a bunch of ladder games. So it's great. But this is kind of like an interesting idea of like, you shout out to Dex? Hell yeah, Dex. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Zergs generally will not have an issue taking 3 bases. In really, really, really old school days, diplomacy, reveal entire map. In really, the older days, you were always eager to build your 3rd hatchery here, because if you built a third hatchery here, you could, like, contain the front with a bunch of sunken colonies, and then you could contain your main base with a bunch of sunken colonies and lurkers, and then you could take this, and then you'd be on 4 base, and you'd go for like 160 food really, really fast to start being aggressive with an insane economy and so on. But like in the last, I'd say, 10 or so years, players have begun to favor. God, that's the oldest thing I've ever heard. Let's see, it's 2024. Maybe say like in the last 6-7 years. I feel like a lot of Zergs have started to just always want to take a third hatchery nearby because Protosses are so much better at just being aggressive and picking people off early on. Like, they're so much better. It feels horrible if you are too far spread out because, I mean, frankly, you can just start dying to this sort of stuff. Chad Terrence says, isn't the real Jaedong abort? It doesn't even matter to me. If this guy loses, it's a fake Jaedong. If this guy wins, it's a real Jaedong. I thought I got my verifications accurate, but you know what? We're all Jaedong today, Chad Terran. It doesn't even matter. Let me actually... This is so funny. Let me show this. So this site, I was showing it earlier on. So this is seawall.gg. And again, you can click on like Speed, who's in ASL 17. And you can just download the games that Speed is playing on the ladder. There it is. And so you'll also note that a lot of people have barcode IDs. Lots of people just have barcode IDs. And so you have to do some research to figure out who's who. So if I keep going, hey, look, there's Hero. There's the Zerg player Hero, in theory. And then there's Snow, should be a little ways down here. Where are you, Snow? There you are. There's By Snow. He's like so good. He's so sick. So again, if this player wins, then this is definitely Jaedong. If this player loses, then it's not Jaedong. All right. Anyways. So, like, this kind of zealot aggression is just such a nightmare to deal with if you're not, like, very good. Like, this is one of the fastest ways to just, like, up and lose instantly. And what this allows the Protoss player to do is it's a kind of weird economic play, okay? Because the logic of getting a forge and building cannons is that you safely get a nexus, so you're building probes 2 at a time, and there you go. I'm getting a good economy. How could getting a gateway, building zealots, and getting a slower nexus also be better economically? Well, if you are threatening the opponent and they have to make lots of Zerglings, this is the worst part about playing Zerg in Brood War. You have to choose to make a drone or make a Zergling, because you have limited larvae. So you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one. And so, in a sense, this allows you to, in a relative way, get ahead of the Zerg player economically. Yes, these zealots will often just die. But the Protoss player will just keep on sending them. Keep on firing them out. What's the hotkey to this? Alt-W? Is it Alt-F4? Oh, W. Oh, it's just W. Amazing. So yeah, like, after those zealots die, yeah, sure, the Zerg player will start droning. Maybe they over-Zergling a little bit because they are anticipating that more zealots will be coming, and yes, indeed, they will. And I genuinely feel like this is the biggest difference between old school Zerg, like when your pal Day 9 was playing in the 2007 World Cyber Games. Like, most of the Protoss players were just forging and chilling. That's it. That's all they were really doing. And there was this kind of... Okay, hold on. I'm about to hit you with a back in my day. So, back in my day, what Protoss players learned in the extremely famous Bisu versus Savior MSL finals is that if you go for a Corsair quickly, not only can you kill overlords and harass, but also you can see exactly what the Zerg player is doing. The Zerg player has to pull their overlords in, which means that the Zerg player now has no clue what the Protoss player is doing. You also deny Mutalisk. It does all these very beneficial things. And so the way that Protoss players started to play in the years after Bisu revealed the Bisu build is they would play very, very defensively, get the Corsair, and then start doing stuff. That's it. I feel like the biggest difference between that and modern gameplay is Protoss have started to realize ways in which they can apply a little pressure, and also Zergs have really stepped up ways in which they can apply pressure before the Corsairs pop out. So we're seeing like a two-sided version of that. All right, Zealots coming out. Zerg can be really annoying and hit this. Now, normally you'd say, ooh, well, this is bad for Zerg, because once 3 Zealots pop out, it's over. Unless you're Jaedong and you've made a couple extra sets of Zerglings, and you can kind of see what's going on. But we don't see any layer. We actually see the first set of gas going in for spawning pool. So this is another representation of, like, the shift in how strategies have functioned. Zerg players used to rush for the layer, so they could rush for Aspire, so that they could rush for Scourge, to defend against the Corsairs that the Protoss was clearly rushing for. But in this situation, most Zerg players are not rushing for the layer. They're staying lower tech. They're building more Zerglings. And they're able to do things like this, knock down this gateway, which I cleverly didn't catch because I'm not a professional observer. And what a lot of Zergs are therefore doing is relying more on Hydralisks and additional hatcheries to deal with Corsairs, and so on. Tiffany Liz says, LFG, it's been over 10 years. I guess it has. Has it been 11 years since I uploaded Starcraft? No, it's been 9 years, I want to say. I think my last upload was Day 9 Daily 787, I think. I want to say. All right, layer going down. Heck yeah. Ooh, this is cheeky. Hey, and any replay gods here? Any replay gods? No. Oh, didn't you do some Brood War tips and tricks? Yeah, no, I did do Let's Learn StarCraft at the end of 2017 and the start of 2018, during that period of time. But I think the last daily I did was a billion years ago. I think it was 800,000 years ago. Do you see the grays in my sideburns and in my beard? Do you see the enormous retreat of my hairline from my nose? Oh my god, it's been a minute, my dudes. It's been a minute. The Earth was still cooling, says Odin. Oh my god, Day 9's doing Brood War. It's the oldest thing I've ever seen. Dude, it's so good. So this is kind of interesting. These types of gambits are much more common. Oh my god, Jaedong is... Dude, this is... I will never be as good as Jaedong. Hold on. I'm gonna hide the screen from you. I'm hiding it from you because I want to rewind the replay. Alright, where's the... What's the replay button? Alt-Y? Okay, because this is... Alright, really, really good. Perfect. I didn't... Damn it! I showed and I spoiled it! Crap! I didn't want to show the time. It doesn't matter, I'm devastated. Alright, let me try this again. I was trying not to spoil it. You know what? I hate you people. I don't know if I've stressed this enough, but, you know, Snape kills Dumbledore at the end of Disc 1. Anyways. Okay, so, as I was saying, the older form... That's a multi-layered reference, huh? An older form of PvZ is this sort of, like, tacit peace that occurs leading up to the Corsair. I was talking about this. And one of the things that always made Jaedong just, like, completely set apart from other Zerg players is that Jaedong would just always find these unusual timings to attack. So again, here is the common one-gate move. As long as I continue to toss out some zealots for aggression, the Zerg player will have to make drones, have to make Zerglings, therefore they will have to make less drones, therefore this Zerg player won't be able to power up as much. And Jaedong was always so good at, like, these kinds of attacks that never really wound up being committal. As you can see on the backside, it's not like there are no drones here. It's not like the Zerg player has gone all in and canceled layer tech. It's just like a little bit of pressure. And things like this, most players would never dream of trying to do, because most Protoss players would never dream of sending their zealots out in 2005 and this sort of thing. It's so good. It's so good. And so this is like a wild position to be in, because Protoss players wind up with a bunch of probes and often have like an even better economy after zealot aggression than they normally would. They can sometimes get away with adding in these second gateway plays. Mini does this a lot. Mini is like my favorite Protoss player to watch in PvZ. Leah says, this Protoss doesn't seem all that good. This is one of the top players on the Korean ladder. And I'm actually curious. Because I will defend any of these players to death, because they are insanely, stupidly, ridiculously good. Some of this. Here we go. Is this a recent replay? Yeah, this is from March 25th. Oh, dude, we're gonna take forever on this game. It's gonna be so good. Gonna be filling on water. So one of the reasons why it's easy to look at this and go, ooh, I don't really think that this Protoss player is very good, right? He's got his front broken, right? Oh gosh, isn't he in a rough spot? And, you know, his gateway died and he's lost some zealots. Now he has probes running every which way. But look up in the top right, 28 probes to 18 drones. And there is a resource that the Zerg is extremely low on right now, which is hatcheries. Often, if you're a Zerg player and you do some early aggression, it feels in the short term like, hey, do I want to try to make a move with these lings? Or do I want some drones to be a little stronger later on? Let me just be content with my aggression having failed. But it's almost like you need to do 5 times as much damage as you would normally want to do if you are cutting those drones, because cutting the drones means you have less minerals to be able to make a hatchery, and then the hatchery is what really lets you spike up and go insane. So, like, this Protoss player is in, like, a weird spot, but they're actually doing okay. And they're about to be able to kick in with a lot of gateway aggression. And holy shit, look at this Zerg player that doesn't actually have the extra hatcheries and is not quite really in a good position to be able to do any turtling. And now the Zerglings are still, doing annoying harassment. Let me hide this so it's a little easier to see. I mean, this harassment is super annoying and super distracting. But as long as the Protoss player just keeps up their gateway production... God, I love the Zerg music. It's so good. Oh, and I keep getting distracted. The reason that it might look bad is that if you are maybe used to watching Age of Empires 2 or Starcraft 2 or things that end in 2, players really don't slip up with their macro or their control early on. They really, 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 really don't. In Starcraft 1, it is so easy to get destabilized because the management of your base is so difficult. For instance, in Starcraft 1, you may only select one building at a time. Period. You are unable to do that. Not like in Age of Empires 2, where I can select every single one of my stables, hit Shift WW, and then I'm just like making 10 knights wherever it is. So yeah, like managing this sort of stuff is insanely difficult. And I saw someone ask, well, hey, if you're going for 2 gateways for pressure, why get the Stargate? You really have to get the Stargate because Mutalisks are just stupidly, stupidly, stupidly good against Protoss. I mean, just like absolutely bone-crushingly good. So you need the corsairs, and there is not a good ground-based way to deal with that. And I know there's some exceptions to that statement, but effectively, for someone who's new-ish, that is the true statement. So we have our hero Jaedong getting this spire up, and we see that there's still not a lot of larvae being devoted to Mutalisks. This is just such a perfect timing by the Protoss player. This is something that, like, if I were playing and I were Protoss, I would be horrific at this, man. I would be horrific. This is an attack that it's not, +1 is not quite done. Zealot leg speed has not yet been started. And do good Protosses, they just somehow know when it's time to move out for when the Mutalisks are popping up. Now, +1 is getting close to completed, but this timing critically is hitting before the Mutalisks. And so this forces the Zerg player to kind of need to get a lot of Zerglings to deal with the Zealots, and also get Scourge to deal with the Corsairs. And you might say, like, well, dude, what about just getting Mutalisks instead of Zerglings? There's kind of an inflection point where you need enough Mutalisks to deal with the Zealots. If you have a small amount, the Zealots just walk up, kill all your drones, kill all your hatcheries, split up. Zerglings actually do a lot more damage to be able to pick these off, and they're much cheaper. So you can keep doing things like spending money on hatcheries. And so this sort of move, it's very easy to again say, ooh, this was like a bad attack for the Protoss player. This was weak. You know, no hatcheries are done. A good amount of the drones were saved, even though some were killed. But critically, the Protoss player is starting to be able to get a whole bunch of corsairs up. There's a probe in the middle of the map. How nostalgic. Oh my god. Yeah, and Zerg really needs to get a lot of drones up. And we see that the Zerg will have a huge burst of drones here in a second, but it is kind of slow to get all that stuff in. Can you explain the decision to go 2 Stargate instead of 1 Stargate? Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. You want to ask me a question about this game? You want to engage on my favorite game of all time? I re-engage. Okay, so let's talk about the Corsair. This is an oversimplification, but my mind is simple and weak, as is yours. That's why we're spending time together. So we need oversimplifications. I'm sorry, I don't know why I lightly bully you. You need a good chunk of Corsairs in the mid-game, because if you don't, your opponent will get a bunch of Mutalisks, and these Mutalisks are very good at picking off High Templar, and then you actually just kind of have a Protoss army that has Zealots and Dragoons and no AoE damage. And Storm is good in StarCraft 2, but Storm is essential in StarCraft 1. If you lose the Templar, you're just gonna lose the fight almost always. So, a critical thing that Protosses will need in the mid-game is air control. As in, enough Corsairs to make the Protoss, or to make the Zerg player leery of leaning too hard into Mutalisks. And so, let's think of an amount of Corsairs. Like, let's say I want 8 or 9 Corsairs to really fight against Mutalisks and prevent people from getting Mutalisks. If I delayed a Stargate, because I went for 2 gate, I might want to make up for that by getting a second Stargate. So, you know, an early Stargate producing Corsairs 1 at a time, or a late pair of Stargates producing 2 at a time will eventually hit that inflection point at roughly the same time. So that's like one reason why. And again, that's just very... I'm not trying to think about surprises. I'm not trying to think about gambits. I'm just like playing for a normal tool that I want to have in the mid-game. But also, you can have the benefit with all these attacking plays of catching your opponent off guard if they mismanage their larva. So an example of mismanaging the larva would be in this position. Maybe this player freaks out and overbuilds Zerglings. Or maybe they are so frustrated after that attack where they felt like they overbuilt Zerglings that then they overbuild drones. This is the benefit of aggression, is it adds more unpredictability into the equation. So then suddenly, swarming in with just packs of +1 attack Corsairs, +1 attack just makes them unbelievably good at ripping the little baby scourge up. I mean, this is incredible. And so these types of weird attacks and then weird follow-ups, look at how just bizarro this looks, okay? Like, I want you to appreciate how nutty this looks. Our Protoss hero attacked with like 8 before, and now is moving out with 6 without speed. Why? Because again, the goal is just to keep messing with the Zerg's larva. If you just stop pressuring the Zerg, and the Zerg has like 6 hatcheries like this, I mean, it is. Zerg is just going to calmly get to like 50 drones. It's actually really weird. There's something. This is the most boomer thing I'll ever say. Outside of why do you guys not want to work anymore? I'm so not used to being able to see these worker counts. What? You can do this? I can click and just look at this player's point of view? Oh my god, look at the technology. Okay, that's the most boomer thing I've ever seen. You can click on the player to like add and subtract their vision? Mamma mia. But yeah, I'm really not used to worker counts still, even though I've been watching ASL forever. Still, I'm used to just glancing at a worker line and going, ooh, that's not enough drones. Needs to be enough. Like all of these need a bunch more drones at them. Anyways. You see game time elapsed? Yeah, right there. So this now looks like a Zerg base. This is really obnoxious to try to path through for melee units. Zealot legs arrives. This allows the Protoss player to poke. Let me see if there's any vulnerability. Let me see if there's any weakness. And a side effect of this is that this can make the Zerg player, again, halt on building drones. You can also see with this new map control that I now learned that I have, the Protoss player moving out with all these corsairs is going to force the Zerg player to be very pulled back with their units. There's a single overlord that's tucked away, single overlord that is on this side, but this is not long for this world. But dude, the Protoss player is the one who is locking in the vision of the Zerg, and this is when the Protoss can wind up expanding. Protoss will still probably need some more units to do this, but like, this is an awkward situation for the Zerg player because weirdly the counter for corsairs is enough scourge. Not a little bit of scourge, but like a lot of scourge. Hey, look, remember that expansion I mentioned? This is another situation too. I'm awful at this as Protoss. Like I really think you need to be so experienced. In the same way that you'll hear me, I'm a Zerg player, so I can speak about this and think about this from like the Zerg point of view. Like as a Zerg player, man, if you're getting messed with, oh, it never feels like I'm building the right thing. I want to build drones. Oh no, and now I need to apply pressure. Maybe I should start building lings or hydras. But wait, maybe I should actually focus more on mutilate. Like there's just all these different considerations that I never quite feel like I'm making the right thing. And while all that's happening, good Protoss players just expand behind this. And yeah, Lings and Mutalisks can be annoying for aggression. There's +1 Carapace to help these Scourge be a little better against the +1. +1 Corsairs. But like being able to find these timings to just like go quickly expand. Storm, yes! Oh my god. Oh, Danny Boy says Zerg always feels like a reactionary race. So, oh, Danny Boy, I will push against that because of players better than me. It is easier when you're beginning Zerg play to leverage the better map control, the better vision, the faster units, and react. If my units can always run away from the fight, and I get to choose when to force a fight, well, I'll just react to what you're doing until I actually have to fight. But players like Jaedong, players like Soma, players like Hero and Queen have lots of ways in which they start applying a lot of pressure. And this situation right here, where we have this Zerg player who's kind of like tucked themselves back defensively like this is not that common in the modern day and age. A lot of players will be going heavy Hydralisks at this point in time in order to move out and control areas like this and this. And so, like, when you first start playing, frankly, I'd encourage every Zerg player to just play as reactionary as you want. it'll get you really far, and it'll get you a good sense of what you can and cannot do. And yeah, so this is even like massing Scourge and getting +1 carapace, stuff like this. Ugh. Dude, this is my nightmare. Where you have this pathetic spore colony, man. This spore colony is just sitting here, desperately trying to defend these overlords. And I think the Protoss player maybe has been a little bit too overeager here. When you really don't see a lot of mobile anti-air. So then Mutalisks come back in, and like, dude, you actually need to start building corsairs again, man. Oh yeah, what are these blue eggs? Okay, so this is... People love to say that that Brood War has not had a balance patch in like 20 years. And that's not entirely accurate, because the map design has all these weird fiddly bits. So this is an example of a way to allow for certain wall-offs. So for instance, a Protoss player can build a gateway here and nothing can get through this side. But later, you can kill these eggs and you've opened up more paths for yourself. So there you have it. There it is. Also, ramps like this didn't exist when the game began. There were only 2 kinds of ramps that went down like this. This upward-facing ramp didn't exist. So there's like a lot of funky little map design elements that have odd little properties that kind of just keep the game fresh and interesting. All right, so I really hope our Zerg hero is going to be flooding a bunch of Mutalisks. All right, nice. Dude, I'm surprised to see the Queen's Nest. This is such an old school way to play. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is so good. Oh my god. Everyone's helping Day 9 with the visual aid. All right. This is interesting. And actually, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I need to use the restroom. I'm just going to leave. Oh, yes. Perfect. All right. So, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So this is a very old school way of playing from the Zerg point of view. Like seeing lurkers, lurker muta laying here. Oh, this is... And he hasn't started laying upgrades. How embarrassing. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Here is the modern way of playing Zerg. The modern way of playing Zerg is you do some form of 3 hatch like this. You use Hydralisk dens and Evo chambers with some sunken colonies to defend until you get enough drones. And then you use 6 hatches worth of aggression to go. I call this big layer play because you have a really big army and you stay on layer. Can you tell I'm not creative? Look, some engineer names. Okay, big layer play. And the benefit of big layer plays is that Protoss needs to actually spend a pretty good amount of resources defending a third, and you can pressure really hard. You can often deny the Protoss a third. Like even in ASL, who was, I think it was Shuttle, who was going like 9 gate on 2 base just to be able to get enough gateway units to push out against a player who was doing big layer tech plays with Hydras, with range, +1 damage Hydras, eventually transitioning into lurkers, things like this. So big layer play. This is a much older school sentiment. In the older school gameplay, players were just like, dude, Sonic Storm is too good against Hydralisks. I don't like Hydralisks. I want to lean more on lurkers for defending positions. And I want to make lots of Zerglings, because Zerglings are basically the best unit in the game. I don't care what anyone else says. I think the Zergling is the best unit in the game. It deals so much damage. It destroys things so fast, as long as you get to Hive Tech. And so, with this sort of setup, I think that... I can't actually tell if Jaedong has sniffed out this base, because when you remove the player vision, it actually removes anything they've seen behind the minimap. But in any case, when you have this sort of turtley old school style, the goal is that you're going to try to get +1/+1 upgrades for melee. You're going to try to transition into Defiler, Lurker, Ling as sort of your core. And you're going to do a lot of goofy shenanigans with trying to secure bases. This is a pretty easy to secure base, because if we think more about, like, you know, open areas like here or here, this is where, like, big flanks of Hydras and Lings are really beneficial. But this is great for, like, Lurker, Dark Swarm, and so on and so forth. Is this replay older than half of chat? Icarus, this replay is from, like, last week. So you see the Zerg player, I mean, it's behind the minimap here, but you see the Zerg player, like, you know, sending Lings around, trying to just kind of get a sense of where the game is going to be going in terms of, are there any hidden bases? Let's try to secure this with a Zergling. Let's try to make sure that all these various locations are covered. Oh, there was another one. Ah, perfect. Okay. Okay, no, I now see what our Zerg hero is doing. Oh, this is an interesting variation of this. Okay. So I see what the Zerg player is doing now. Protoss, I'm going to come to in a sec, because I'm just mystified by this interesting rush for Queen's Nest. What our Zerg hero is doing now is, I don't know why the macro's slipping so much. Sometimes when you rewind replays, like I did, you can get some weird desyncs in the replay. And immediately I'm so worried. I'm so worried that I've desynced things. Can we get some rollback? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me see if... Replay panel. I mean, this is a kind of unusual amount of larva floating. Well, whatever. Sucks to suck, I guess. Alright. I'm just going to continue with what I was saying anyways. Okay, so big layer play of a Hydra, Ling, Lurker army. This is the sort of modern way that Zerg players battle against Protosses. And the older school way is like real positional play with Lurkers and Defilers and expanding and counterattacking and all this sort of stuff until you have like way too many bases. But in a sense, this Zerg player is basically going, no, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm just going to quickly get a hive to make sure that I can get the Adrenal upgrade, and then I'm just going to do that anyways. So it looks like we're still going to be seeing the same style of play. Again, I don't know why the Zerg is just so sloppy with the macros. And I'm just going to keep this selected, because the Adrenal upgrade is like the most important thing. Oh my god. This, oh my, I'm like embarrassed to say this is like the hardest thing for me to learn. This literally was the culmination of years of playing Zerg vs. Protoss. I always wanted a specific time to like take a fourth base. Like, what's the event? What's the trigger? What's the reasoning behind it? And really, right around the time when you're making a bunch of units, you just take a fourth. Ta-da! You now know the entire reasoning. I should have some stuff. Let me start making some stuff. Okay, so Protoss I haven't even taken a look at in a while. Yeah, so I mean, Protoss is doing some things pretty archetypically. This third, taking the third this early, making sure that Protoss still has a good set of corsairs, still has cannons in the main base to deal with some sort of surprise mutalisk stuff. All pretty typical. Getting a ton of gateways. There's now 10 gateways. Adding in dragoons with range, adding in observers. But I think one thing that is interesting, again, since I last played, older school style was to favor the attack upgrade because of the fact that every commentator loves to say, if you have the attack upgrade ahead of the Zerg's armor upgrade, then your zealots will shred Zerglings. But Protoss players increasingly, because there is so much of this big layer play, they've opted to instead get armor. Because there's a lot of really weird interactions in this game in terms of the attack damage. So Hydralisks deal 10 damage, but they have what is called explosive damage. And explosive damage does full damage against heavy units like the Dragoon, It doesn't say this anywhere, but this is a heavy unit. And Hydralisks do half damage against Zealots. So that means they only deal 5 damage to Zealots. So with the base armor of the Zealot being 1, you are bringing the attack damage from 4 down to 3 if you get another +1 armor. And if you get to +2, it brings it down to the pathetic 2 damage. So then all of a sudden, you now have really difficult to kill Zealots getting up into the front. Yosimator said, did people read the code to figure that out or just do a ton of testing? I think it was in the manual. And I don't know, you know it pretty soon. Oh my god, apoptosis. What a treat to see ya. Good to see ya. Hell yeah, brother. Alright, so a sort of modern play is to just get this armor upgrade up. This 4th I actually think is pretty fine in terms of the timing. Baka Stormgate says, what race do you play the most these days? Ethiopians and Franks. That's an Age of Empires 2 joke because that's the main RTS I'm playing right now. If you didn't get the joke, please trust me, it's quite hilarious. Is Adrenal upgrade researched yet? We're gonna find out because they attack so fast. Nope, hasn't even been started. I mean, literally, this is embarrassing, the fact that this hasn't been started yet. Yeah, no, okay, yep. So this is the sort of OG look and feel. Adrenal or Adrenal? It's tough because it should be Adrenal, I believe. But no one who played this game was older than 15, and whatever the pronunciation you decided on when you were 15, that's the way it is now. Are you kidding me? I mean, Zealot, Obaz. Yeah, I mean, like it's crazy. Like, the upgrade for Zerglings, when they have speed and the Adrenal upgrade, they are colloquially called cracklings. And now that I'm 37, I realize how appalling that is. Yeah, they move fast and attack fast. It's that they're on cocaine. Like, what an insane name. Like, I was like 14 when I was like, oh man, these cracklings are way too Gosu. Like, oh my god, what, like they need a different name. But that's the convention. I'm just sticking with it. Okay, so the old school style of Zerg play, this sort of like grabbing other positions, using long distances and counterattacks, Nidus networks, lurkers, defilers, and the works. This is what the Zerg player is going to be going for. And this style I'm very, very comfortable with. I'm pretty weak at the big layer style, if I'm being entirely honest. I mean, I'd love to lie. That's really... I'm going to change my brand and lie aggressively to my audience. There it is, finally. Oh my god, the adrenal gland. So, the way that Zerg is going to be playing this... Oh god. Oh, okay. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. Okay. This is one of the hardest positions to play as Zerg against a Protoss that knows what they're doing. What the Zerg player is going to do is be seemingly indestructible. The Zerg player, we're at 15 minutes into the game, this is a long game. Zerg is going to use Niduses to bring drones and lurkers here, control this until the economy gets good enough, then walk down here, lurkers, defilers. Try to take a hatchery here, put a Nidus, get lurkers here, try to set up Zerglings and other fast units to do counterattacks. It's basically going to be Zerglings and defilers doing counterattacks for some of these vulnerable positions. And what the Protoss is going to do, in the short term, is try to just sweep around with this army. Just try to do huge sweeps down here to pick this off, cut over this way, apply pressure to sweep here, cut back this way, apply pressure over here, try to really contain the amount of Zergs. Ability to take more expansions. But there's a huge problem if the Protoss knows what they're doing. Zerg will be trading inefficiently. You have storms getting free damage all over the place. You have counterattacks that, again, single storms and packs of Reavers can pick off. And there comes a point where the Protoss player is trying to get half the map. And if the Protoss player has half the map, then eventually the Zerg player will lose because there will just be too much atrophy in the Zerg army. So what the Zerg really needs, this is the big expansion here. Let me open up diplomacy. If the Zerg player can get control of this area here, Zerg can be okay. This is going to be a really important expansion in this game, because Zerg should just conquer the bottom half of the map. But this is the key stuff here. If Protoss secures these, then Protoss is going to do the exact opposite of what I said that their mid-game goal is, and they're going to stop sweeping, and they're going to start turtling like crazy. And they're just going to try to defend those. So this is good stuff from Zerg. Because again, it's easy to get a little myopically focused. Because I used to be this way. I'd be like, oh my god, I've denied the 4th base. I'm winning. Oh, I'm so Gosu. Oh god. But again, if the Protoss secures this 4th, and critically, if the Protoss secures where this Zergling is, it suddenly starts to become over for the Zerg player. So these sweeps are really good. I'm just going to poke at the front as Protoss. And then, oh, I don't really see any ability to get through. All right, I'm going to start coming over here. You can see that there's these fast Zergling counterattacks doing the same thing. This is a really fun part of PvZ. Tangerine says, what is Gosu? So... Shit. So, everyone who was a non-Korean StarCraft pro was obsessed with trying to use Korean terminology, use Korean emojis, mimic Korean players. And the Korean players weren't just the best. Everything Korean was the coolest shit in the universe. And so, Gosu... I mean, now that I'm 37, I'll tell you what my brain thought when I was in high school. Gosu basically means good, and Chobo basically means bad. Did I ever, as a high schooler and a college kid, figure out what those words actually meant? No. No, I did not. So as you're asking me what Gosu means right now, the answer is like, I'm not 100% sure, but I still think it means like really good, man. And I would be like watching replays with my brother and be like, man, these players are so Gosu, man. And Nick would be like, yeah, Gosu times 2. Like, it's so embarrassing. I still don't know what it means. Oh my God, Nick, whatever you tell me, I'm gonna absolutely not remember because I'm blacking out right now. Oh, what a nightmare. All right, but so let me talk about what I love about this part in PvZ, where this is a really judgment-based phase of the game, where the Protoss player, again, these Dark Swarms, ranged units do not deal damage under Dark Swarm. So the Protoss player has to judge if they have enough Zealots and Storms to break through, which this Protoss player brilliantly did. And the Protoss player is trying to judge where are weak points that I can apply pressure to before the Zerg player has too much economy going. And the Zerg player, you'll see, is sweeping these top expansions with these small packs of Lings and Mutalisks to deny this 4th base. And this pressure is to try to distract the Zerg long enough to take the 4th. See, look at how good Psionic Storm is. Look at how good Cracklings are, which is what they're called. This is so insane. I still can't believe how good Zerglings are in this game. But again, Storms are also just busted good. So thanks to having 10 gateways worth of production, just keeps flooding, This is the good stuff. All Zerg's doing is holding positions, counterattacking, holding, counterattacking. This is actually brilliant from Protoss. This is the one location that doesn't actually have a Nidus. So, I mean, Zerg might just have to bail on this expansion unless they can reinforce somehow from another angle. So if I'm Zerg, I'm stressed, but I'm not. I don't think it's over because I know that the 4th is not going on. 3 Mutalisks trying to micro here. Yeah, that's not going to work. God, I love Zerg music. It's so good. I feel so cool just listening to Zerg music. Why is Protoss 100 APM? Because Protoss is a race that only needs you to play with your mouse only. Yeah, these types of like defenses are super rough. This was a very impressive break from the Protoss player, but the Zerg has done a really good job holding this off. It's not over, but I would definitely say the Protoss player has a huge, huge advantage right now. No burrow. All right, that's fine. So this is actually a fun little mini game. If you kill the probe, you delay the expansion by an insane amount of time, and no cannons can get built. So then you just try to box select a whole bunch of Morlings, flood them on in. You know, Chad Terran said earlier, this is not Jaedong, even though it has the Jaedong ID. And you know what? If this player loses again, I will note, it's not Jaedong if it loses. But if the Zerg wins, oh yeah, this is Jaedong for sure. Alright. Small Zergling counterattacks keep going. And this is a really tough spot to be in as Protoss and Zerg, because the Protoss knows if they can't secure this area, this is the key area, this is the one. Commander Embryo says, do you know the outcome of this game? I don't. But like this top right is where, or top left is where everything's quite scary. And obviously the Protoss securing this fourth is big because they're running out of money in their starting bases. So this is really to kind of maintain pressure at this point. NC says, I've consumed StarCraft content for 15 years and not played once. I mean, honestly, that kind of makes sense because StarCraft has such a mechanical demand before you can start to tap into the strategy. So, and what I mean by this is, for instance, if you want to do the opening that this Protoss player did, you just need unbelievable zealot control, and you need to not slip on your macro once. And then you need to be able to deal with a bunch of counterattacks with micro, and then you are permitted to play the game. So what's easier to do is like what I'm doing, which is like I don't play, I don't have to worry about the fact that I am truly washed up, and I just get to judge what the players are doing. I like this attack. That's what I would do. But I mean, you're seeing the Protoss player do kind of the same logic of sweeping, right? Checking this, nothing here. Pressure here, gonna do some storms, see if a break-in can happen. Maybe sweep up here. Hey, don't need to do that, have a zealot. Hey, have a zealot here. And even though the overall mineral income of the Protoss player is staying kind of stagnant, this is where the Protoss player starts to get an excess of gas and can begin transitioning to this really obnoxious heavy Archon army. And you can, you know, appreciate why the lurkers are so good here. Archons don't deal full damage to lurkers under Dark Swarm. Are we? Oh, dude, look at this. The egg's going down. Oh, esports. So Zerg, again, keeping a hawk's eye on this. This is a lesson that you will learn 100 times if you play this game, is that if you do not keep an eye on the other main against a Protoss, you will eventually scout it and discover that there's like 2 fully mining bases here. This is the moment here, man. This is the big nightmare. But look at how good Zerglings are. They're gonna rip all these zealots up. It's not gonna be close. And then we're gonna have just these 4 Zerglings, which kill this. Oops, kill this so fast. Look how quickly the health goes down on this. This is ridiculous. Oh, dude, we got DeWalt here. What a treat. So this is not the real Daezong, but still a really good player. 2600 MMR amateur Zerg, and Protoss is non-pro gamer as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, dude, DeWalt, if you have the seawall.gg link to Jaedong's account, I would love it. I would love that, because there's so many barcodes on there. And I was largely trusting what the research suggested, but, you know, it's always a mystery. You'd love to hear it. But, dude, DeWalt, one of the greatest StarCraft players of all time, and one of the strongest players outside of Korea right now. Yeah, I can do. Oh my God, you're so nice, DeWalt. I also got some games of Eon Zerg and Gypsy. DeWalt, if you wanna link me some of your games too, I'd love to watch them. I'd love to watch and admire you. Only send me games of you winning, and I'll tell everyone you have 100% win rate. It's easy. But yeah, I mean, these sorts of moves from Zerg, this takes a lot of awareness to really pull the trigger. The instant the Protoss player stops sweeping, the Zerg player just grows onto the other side. And it's very easy to convince yourself as a Protoss player that chilling here is the best move. You have units that are rallying through the middle, and you have some movement here, so it feels unlikely that this top left is going to get picked off, especially with these units here. But I mean, without continued sweeping, Zerg can even retake this. Protoss isn't careful. I mean, I think the first player I saw really do this super aggressively was Queen, back when Queen played under the name Zero. I would just watch Queen in these games where I'd be like, oh yeah, your Queen is screwed. This is it. It's over. And then Queen would just like take expansions in weird locations and just like sprint up with like a Defiler, a bunch of Zerglings, Lurkers, boom, burrow, done. And then do this stuff all game long and would just pull these wins out of nowhere, and it like looked easy somehow. So look how good is the Zergling? We will find out soon. All right. Against Psionic Storm, Zealot, Archon, Ramp, and the Zerglings plow forward. So this is the nightmare scenario, because if Protoss secures this, Protoss kind of doesn't need to really be that aggressive against Zerg for the rest of the game. They just get Reavers, they get Archons, they get the super high-tech, annoying to deal with army. Ugh. 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 Grody. This is Starcraft 3, says Real. Yes. Yes, it is. Blizzard realized that we needed a third Starcraft and just remade the first one. Microsoft has lost its way. So, God, there is still such insanely low worker count still. Are Archons ranged or melee? So, in Dark Swarm, you don't take ranged damage. You only take melee damage, and as an asterisk, you also take splash damage. So the way it works is that the Archon can attack, and the ranged part of it doesn't deal damage, but the splash part of it does deal damage. Ah? Ah? And this is the kind of stuff that I just think is so insanely hard to control as a Protoss player, where you're like trying to flood in, again, with Zealot Archon, but Zealots at this part of the game are less desirable in your supply. Would you rather have an Archon or two Zealots? Well, obviously, an Archon. Yeah, and I mean, right now, I would generally be putting my money on the Protoss player here. Not after that control, but still, I would generally put my money on that player. God, and I mean, I actually can't stress how easy it is to misjudge attacks like this. Like, this is a tough decision to make. Yeah, you know what? I am going to try to take on that army. When you also have, like, other little sets of units kind of peppered all over the place. Oh, dude, yeah, if I can get replays of Soul Key, that would be the dream. That would be the dream. Soul Key, I think, has some of the best improvisational ZvP. It's just insane. Ollier Lol says, I like the Protoss doesn't have too many Dragoons. The Dragoon is like just a mid-game unit. The Dragoons kind of suck. They're kind of just a terrible unit. Ooh, this was nice by Zerg. Breaking through this side. Yeah, I mean, a lot of modern Zerg gameplay just does not have the high-tech units outside of the Defiler. So, the sort of more defensive posturing from the Protoss player, I actually think, again, is completely correct. This is a little bit of a funny defense. Often players will build extra robotics facilities at their expansions to be able to just make more and more Reavers. This is a great question from Ringgeese. Is it feasible for the Zerg player to try to break the main or natural bases, or are they basically relegated to denying more bases? So the main goal of the Zerg is denying this corner in like the ultra long-term sense. Controlling territory and expansions is what will allow you to, if the game keeps going on longer, increase your probability of winning minute after minute after minute. So what the Zerg player is doing here is the main goal. But sometimes, let's say all the Protoss stuff is here, Zerg can sometimes just swing over here and there's just nothing. You can just slam on in. So, like, often you will see in these really long games, the Protoss player loses their main base, but sometimes that's literally not enough, just due to the sheer inefficiency of the Zerg trades. But yeah, the Protoss player will generally always be ahead of the Zerg player in supply. If the Zerg player is ahead in supply, then that's really bad news for Protoss. Still taking bases. Still taking bases. So this I actually don't like this attack. This is a great way to just chuck some of these threatening units away, trying to break in here. So right now this is looking kind of even. I'm still really worried about this position. This is wild to have this here. I'm not entirely sure what I think about this counterattack here to try to deal with this base. I feel like Protoss needs to clean up his own bases first. Zerg needs to spend that gas. Well, it's a little tough because the Zergling is actually like your best unit. You don't actually get too much crazy spike of power. Like, when you're this late in the game, there's not like a good Zerg gas sink. Like, you could make a lot of lurkers, I guess, but like, the difference between 10 lurkers and 30 lurkers is not very big in terms of power. It's just not that big. Because, like, the back lurkers still have to get to the front. They still have to keep spreading out. Ultralists get completely annihilated by all late game Protoss stuff from Reavers and Archons primarily, but even, like, DTs and Zealots are pretty solid, too. You can sometimes do wacky things where you, like, build a bunch of Mutalisks, and you start making Guardians to bust in. Guardians are not bad. I like Guardians. But it's not like, oh, hell yeah, I have a bunch of Guardians. Yeah! So, I mean, at this point... So I feel like a good sort of beat on the health of Protoss late game is just how many Zealots they have in the army. The more Zealots there are, Zealots are an incredibly strong unit when you have middle-sized armies. They're not great when you're, like, maxed, but they're very good to build quickly and cheaply to control space. So I think that the fact that the Protoss is getting ahead in bases kind of justifies it. Kind of makes it okay, especially if more Reavers are en route. Get more Robos, yeah. Armance's brewer pathing makes me frustrated even as Terran. Yeah, it's an acquired taste for sure. Brood War pathing is the malort of strategy game movement. If you guys don't know what malort is, buy a bottle and take a swig. Does anyone understand this reference? Is this for me? Is this for me and me alone? So I will note, this is... You may have heard me say I hate this period of Zerg, and now we're here, and I hate this period of Zerg. I hate this period of Zerg. The Protoss player transitions away from sweeping and denying bases into securing and turtling. And it's such a nightmare. Because, dude, like, it's Archon, Storm, Reaver. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Jarek says Malort belongs in the dirt. Well, why put it in the dirt when you can put it in your mouth and make your mouth taste like dirt? It dirtifies anything it touches. It's appalling. Malort's great, says Puzzle. Mods, please ban Puzzle from the chat for having appalling opinions. Anyways, I love Brood War pathfinding. So, I think one of the things that makes it a little tricky here. Because I had a friend who sent me a replay like a year ago. It's like, hey, like, what do I do in this position? What's the right counter unit? And like, it really is Ling, Hydra, Lurker, Defiler, and you just lose horribly dollar for dollar. But you just keep pressing in because you have plagues, and you soften them up, and there you go. Okay, there you go. Yeah, Tilaspora, Ultras are pretty bad late game. I mean, they can have their uses, but you'd much rather just get lurkers, throw down dark swarms, plague the HP heavy units, and try to smack them. Not enough energy. Many, many plagues. So again, this is why Archon Reaver is so strong, because the Archons don't care about plague. You know, they take 7 damage. So I mean, this is kind of the do or die position as Zerg. Zerg really needs to push into this. I as the Zerg player would simply lose this 10 out of 10 times. It would be pathetic. Why not Mutalisk Harass? Well, Protoss players are making so many cannons, and there's also so many Nexuses, and there's a single Storm and a single Archon shot annihilates it. It's just not that great. Now this move is largely to secure this area, and also to just get a good angle for Reavers and Archons to blast through. Everything Protoss does right now. Oh god, I hate being in this position as Zerg. I can't stress this enough. Ugh. Because now, even though both players are maxed, like Protoss is, if they start getting rid of the Zealots and instead favor just more Archons, like look at how many High Templar this is. You don't really need to push this far forward as Protoss. Like, you really don't. This is a little over-eager. GP Cyanide, it is fun to be back watching Starcraft, you know what I mean? Might even play some big game hunters later. BGH. Late game pros versus Zergs are total slugfest. BGH FFA? Yeah, dude, we'll invite all the chat. It'll be SC2 this week? Indeed, it'll be on Thursday. Look at that. 20-minute no rush. Yeah. Is there a 300 supply mod for StarCraft 1? I want to play that. Oh, this is wild. What a good way to make use of these useless zealots. Yeah, dude, if Protoss loses control of this top base, I mean, that is so bad. Scarabs do have the damage upgrade. Okay, great. Okay. Zerg's gonna take revenge and kill off this middle base, because Zerg lost their middle base. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, this is... I mean, as much as I am venting, frankly, about how stressful and difficult this is as a Zerg player, because you just keep sending in Zerglings, they keep one-shotting everything with Scarabs. The instant, like, 6 Zerglings live, the entire base explodes. Like, this base is going to die so quickly, now that that stuff is down. Oh, is the shuttle going to save? Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Protoss, I would say is fine. Protoss is fine. I mean, this isn't great, but I mean, this is going to be like an only Archon Reaver army soon. 3-3-3 for Zerg. Let me just kind of take a little beat on what's happening in Zerg Town. Been watching ASL? Oh, dude, every Sunday addicted me. I've been watching so much ASL. It's so good. So as much as... Oh yeah, I remember what I was saying. As much as I complain and rant about, oh, I hate being in this position as Zerg, I mean, this is really difficult to deal with as Protoss. Just like endless collections of lurkers, dark swarms, anytime you have something slightly undefended, Zerglings sweep in, blow everything up. This is right around the period that the main base starts to become a little bit more vulnerable. Protoss still is making a lot of zealots. John Vase says, are queens not used at all in ZvP? Correct. They're effectively not used at all. Every unit in StarCraft has been built in every matchup, and there are situations for it. But this is an example of the main's starting to look vulnerable. Yeah, maybe if I can just swing in with some, you know, quick units, I can pick this stuff off. You know, hell, I can deny them this geyser. In this game, when geysers deplete, they return 25% gas instead of 100% gas. So, like, it still is useful to have these two probes going in and out here. Yeah, the Scarab damage is terrific. It's just great. Feels, I mean, frankly, it's like, why wouldn't you get it as well? Yeah, the only time that you would see queens is if it got to something like everyone was super broke, completely out of resources, and you needed to efficiently pick off some other units, like, you know, maybe your opponent has some zealots, you pick those off, wait a little bit. Eddie Staples says, how do you get better at hitting hotkeys 5-0 without messing up? Make yourself use them. Literally make yourself. I would just start hotkeying stuff to 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 and just do that. Laser Soup says, are you able to recall old knowledge as you comment this, or does watching recent Brood War stuff keep your game knowledge sharp? I mean, I've just always watched Brood War, and I've played it so much. Like, frankly, having a lot of context from playing makes things make sense. I'm not speaking from, like, a theoretical perspective. I'm speaking from, like, oh, yeah, that reminds me of this game where I lost a bunch. Or, oh, hey, I know how to beat that. Here's how it works. And there are some things, like, I've not played a bunch of games on this map. But I just look at this third, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I played a lot of maps that have thirds like this, right? So, I mean, like, there's a lot of knowledge transference that makes it straightforward. But also, this is, like, my favorite thing. What's Protoss game plan at this point? It's just chill. Protoss has lots of leftover minerals here. Protoss can make much better use of gas in the late game. And let me see if I can turn... how do I turn off this? If I go down here, you can see that this base is almost mined out. This base is almost mined out as well. So this base is running for Zerg. So let me kind of... Where's the dang mini... Oh, yeah, I see. So Q and W. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So the Zerg player is running low here, and is basically broke here. Zerg has a good amount of minerals here, but again, no. Still, it's in like 700-ish range. These are 700, some over 1,000. Most of these are over 1,000. This is really the only Zerg base that has full income. So if the Protoss can just chill on these two, eventually get this, maybe retake this, but really eventually get this, there you go. There you go. No, Artosis says, my fucking nemesis is back. I will defeat you. I concede. I concede. My arch nemesis, Dan Stemkowski, is here. Oh my god. Why don't you donate $3.33 and tell me a secret about Mario and Luigi? Artosis, the greatest Brood War stream on Twitch, has joined us here. I am honored to have you here, Dan. My goodness. For those of you who don't know, Artosis and I, we played Brood War together and went to tournaments and battled against each other back in as early as, I want to say, 2001. Like 2001, 2007, 8, we played against each other a lot in tournaments. Good times. Great, great, great times. But of course, Artosis, I'm a coward. I'm just casting replays. I'm not even battling on the ladder like a true man. And it's great because I always get to be right. Dude, dude, Dan, I don't know if you ever heard me make this joke, but some people are like, Sean, do you think that Artosis is being unreasonable when he gets angry against Protoss players? And here's a story that I always tell, okay? You know, if you watch my old daily content, I loved fiddling with the modding tool to show various values changing or using test maps or stuff like this. It was in a lot of my educational content. And one day, what I did is I took the siege tank and looked at how it did damage. And it does a circle of 100% damage, a larger circle of like half damage, and the largest area where it did a quarter damage. And so I thought to myself, man, I wonder what would happen if I nerfed the tank by taking the radius of that 100% area and I shrunk it down to a point. So the siege tank only did full damage to the unit that it hit. And then it did half or quarter damage to everything else. And what this did is it buffed the siege tank, because as it turns out, most of the damage siege tanks do is to each other when they're shooting zealots. Like, oh my god, you couldn't fucking deal any damage to the siege tank line with Zealot Dragoon. I mean, like, how can you not get pissed off when you're playing as Terran? Your fucking siege tanks are killing each other. The mines deal insane damage to your own units. In fact, mines basically one-shot all your stuff. Oh, Marines, they're only good if they deal damage to themselves. Oh, you were a little nervous and hit T twice? The game lets you stim twice. The benefit is nothing. Like Terran players are playing this fucking faction where all the units kill each other. And here I am with like lurker spines gracefully dodging each individual Zergling. I get to make this ranged unit that deals full damage underneath Dark Swarm. The spell where you're supposed to deal no damage against ranged. My ranged units just work. Like, does that sound infuriating to you? Sounds infuriating to me, and so I don't play Terran. There it is. So for all of you that are nobly queuing up with Terran and losing to your own tanks and Widow Mines, please know you're in good company, okay? It does sound angry. It does sound angry. Did I say Widow Mines? I meant Spider Mines. Dude, Dan, it's great to see you, man. It's great to see you. Yeah, I mean, right now, this Protoss player effectively just needs to chill. Just needs to chill. And then our good old Fake Jaedong just needs to hang on. Oh yeah, this is a really common late game tactic. You do these tiny baby drops, because as the Protoss player is maxed, they start having dry rallies out of these gateways. And you can see these cracklings deal damage so quickly. Little pickups like this are good, but I mean, just these small sets of units, this is like not even 12 Zerglings, like, and all these gateways are gonna get roasted. So in these super crazy late game situations, you will see the Protoss player rebuild the whole base up here. It's insane. It's intense Zerg music. So, I mean, these only Archon armies do have to be careful, because a lot of the, like, this is something I think Soul Key is incredible at making sure to not underbuild Hydralisks in the late game. It's very easy to go just Zergling, Lurker, Defiler. And those are the core units for what it's worth, but dude, oh my god, if you just, like, start moving in with this mass Archon army and you're not careful, you get gaddled down by Hydras. Yeah, Boom, this is a great game. I just downloaded a bunch of games. I want to watch this snow game. I want to watch a Zerg versus Zerg that's like 30 minutes long. This is a weird position to be defending, but, you know, what can you do? Oh, this is such good Zerg control. Oh my god. This is... If you have a friend that plays Brood War, something that looks really normal, your Brood War friend will put their arm on you and go, dude. You have no idea how hard that is to do. You have no idea how hard. He's attacking from 3 sides. Hold on. You have no idea how hard that is to do. You have no idea. You think you know. Isn't he just A-moving, like in Starcraft 2? No, dude, no. You have no idea how hard it is. You can't do that in Brood War. When you say to go forward with your units in Brood War, they don't. This is the game, baby. Protoss still got out of there alive because Archon's Storm is too overpowered. Dude, this is There it is. Did you get to the Action vs. Queen 30-minute ZvZ from, I believe, at ASL 16? Yes, and the absolutely impeccable commentary of Dan Artosis Stemkowski sniffed out the exact correct way to play post-Mutalisk Zerg versus Zerg. I mean, that's crazy. That's when Dan was like saying that stuff, I was like, it's real, it's true, he's the one. Like, Dan just called it. Oh yeah, he's gonna transition to Ultralists here, and people were like, what? Like, I saw the YouTube comment, how did Dan know that? It's because you're all now beginning to believe. We've played this game for so long, we know what Ultras are like, and ZVZ. Oh my god, Maynard. Oh, what a delight to see you. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of ASL. I watch every Sunday with my buddies. So this looks like the most reckless thing in the universe to be taking this. I mean, you can just shuttle things down here. But this is the exact kind of desperate move you need to do as Zerg to win in these stupidly late game situations. And these moves, like, I've made these moves and tricked myself into thinking that I was doing something successful, right? Going for the main. Yeah, the map is looking quite yellow. It's quite yellow indeed. Yeah, Ikisod, we can't watch any ASL games. I can encourage you to go watch Nick and Dan's casting, or Artosis and Tasteless's casting on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't contribute anything better than they would, to be entirely honest. Although you should absolutely like and subscribe on this channel over here. Dude, see, this is the thing. Like, you can throw these armies in, but, like, lurkers are so vulnerable if you don't burrow them perfectly to storms, reavers, and so on. Wow, I'm surprised he rebuilt so much in this base. Okay. So, at this point in time, what's the move for Zerg? I think this is right. I think that you do also need to get spore colonies over here, so building a creep colony back this way is correct. Slamming in some lurkers here, trying to defend against counterattacks here. I think this is the move. Oh! Who's done this? Oh my fuck. This is the move. This is how you know that this is not ChatGPT playing. This is a human being right here. All right. 1A, 2A, 3A, Observer A. There it is. Send them in. These things are going to detonate so fast. Because, like, Protoss letting this get taken. I mean, I was talking about the sweeps back and forth, how important it is to stop being offensive and start being defensive. This is why. Because this, once Zerg takes this, this can be the thing that can tip the economic balance in favor of the Zerg again. Because the Protoss, look, they still have money. They still got money all over the place here. Zerg just has this base. This is dry. The Zerg's main is dry. This third is effectively dry. Zerg is on 2-ish base. Protoss is on 2-ish base and has more efficient units. So this is the tipping factor. Mama. Let me briefly see something here. Is that... No. I thought that my green screen was getting busted out. Zerg Bank, though, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. That's not that big of a bank, given just how stupidly efficient this stuff is. Great Reaver control. It's exactly how I would have controlled my shuttles. I mean, one of the things that is a big benefit is that the Zerg player, the Protoss player is low on Archons. Because Protoss lost like 10 Archons at that point in time. It's 3 Observers. It used to be 7. Alright, we're going to win this fight through sheer inefficiency. We're just going to throw everything at this army. Dude, I do this all the time. Alright, there goes the Observers. LOL. There's only one High Templar? Was it in the shuttle? Come on, I encourage you to storm. I encourage you to storm. Oh my god, please! Please storm! Dude, this is... I'm very surprised the Protoss player controlled that in that way. Because, like, for as much as I was saying, dude, this Protoss player, all they gotta do is defend. Oh my god, it's so doomed for Zerg. Oh my gosh. If Protoss does one of these pushes like this, and it goes busto, I mean, it's real quick for some Hydras, some Cracklings, some Lurkers to just break through it. Oh, dude, what a brutal game for the Protoss player if they wind up losing this one. But again, these late game units are really insanely good. Like just 2 Reavers and some cannons. I mean, this is hard as hell to break through. I mean, they have a lot of armor. Like, I mean, I'm genuine when I say that, like, it is impossible to break these stupid Reaver Archon things with efficiency. It's always so inefficient for the... Come on! Oh, we've all been there. Okay. Oh, man, this is just begging to get detonated. Alright, keep making cannons. This is still not looking good for the Protoss player now. God, this ability is so good. Why are you going this way? This is crazy in the coconut. Really? Do you think you can hold on to this with just 3 Reavers and cannons? Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm the one that doesn't know what's happening. Storm! Storm! Archon, storm! I cannot believe the Protoss is actually pulling off this counterattack and defending this with just a pair of Reavers with 17 and 21 kills. It's unbelievable. Remember how I said that was not that big of a Zerg bank? Well, there you have it. So many things at 65 energy. So many things at 65 energy. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. Well, let's just be devastated. Well... Okay, so no, I agreed with myself then. Anytime I see an attack like that, I just, you know, alarm bells were going off that, no, you should join over here and apply pressure to this base. This is the base that really matters. This one is, you can pick off temporarily, but that's really easy to respawn as the Zerg. I am the greatest player, I forgot. Yeah, dude. Oh, it was just a few of those attacks earlier on. After that attack went south on the bottom side, and now there's enough cracklings springing in. Yeah, dude, Zerglings destroy things so quickly. The number of games that I've won just from sniping a single Nexus. Ay, goodness. Alright, well. This is now a Zerg win. God, what a battle, man. Jesus. What a freaking battle. Send in the goats. Ready to die. Yeah, this is not going to do it. GG. What a great game. What a great first game to stream and chat about. This is so good. Ken Flaxvine says, dang, are all Brood War games this long? The ones we're going to watch today are going to be very long and very epic. But I'd say an average Brood War game length is like 10 minutes. I'd say right around 10 minutes. Right around 10 minutes. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, and in terms of content for future streams of StarCraft Brood War, the biggest difficulty is just getting access to replays. So I just went to cwal.gg, which is where it has all the ladder replays that you can get that are publicly accessible. Because then it's easy for someone to say, where'd you get this game? And I can say, go here. But in the future, if I can get access to more replays, that would be amazing. And you know, I'm gonna do a little poll after this. This Protoss player should say GG right now. They're doing what is known as fantasy GG timing. There was a player by the name of Fantasy who would like have 4 supply and still be like microing his 4 units. And so the commentators would always call it the fantasy GG timing. Yeah, like what are we doing here? We're gonna storm this base. That'll do it. We've all been here at various points in our life. No, I understand if you don't want to date me, but, like, would you just, like, I don't know, go on, like, 3 dates and just, like, reevaluate then? Please. Please, if you could just... I have 11 nice things I want to say to you. Yeah, no, I mean... What are we doing? What are we doing in this game? Oh, I'm speeding it up. 16x speed. Whoa! There we go. Alright, nice. In that case, it's not a fake Jaedong. This is the real Jaedong, and Jaedong always wins. Yeah! Oh, hell yeah. What's WW mean? It is GG on a different keyboard. So let me, I want to take a little poll here. I'm going to do a poll, new poll. How much Brood War Starcraft 1 have you played? None. Some, but only when I was little. Some as a kid. Lots. I've played 1v1. How about that? All right, so let's create a 2-minute poll. And I'm actually curious. Yeah, like this is what we call user research. So, like, I'm curious, are you someone that's never played this? Are you some that maybe played StarCraft and are unfamiliar? I maybe should have broken the sum into some other categories. Yeah, like, are you experienced? Are you not? Because this is kind of interesting to me. Like, a lot of the stuff that I was saying is more targeted towards the LOTS gamers. Alright, that's kind of helpful. It's kind of helpful to know. You can vote multiple times? Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter to me. Poll doesn't work on mobile. It's fine. I'm not even going to let it finish. I'm sure some as a kid is going to win. But great. That actually helps me a ton.